Hello, this is Chris from Optinet. This time we're going to look at how to do a dispense in Flex. What we're assuming here is that the test record has been put on by the optometrist in the testing room, which is going to save us entering the RX at the point of dispense, and also we'll see a couple of useful dispensing tools thanks to this. The three broad things that you need for dispensing to work as intended in Flex are the RX to be put on by the optometrist, just to save on the data entry, the frame stock ought to be on the system, just again to save you having to put the frame on at point of dispense, and also for your lens book ought to be up to date. There is, by the way, a separate video around customising all your lens book and prices. So let's jump into Flex and see what we do. So here's my example patient. Just to let you know, I've put on a sight exam for them today, and you can see there's a till balance flashing because they owe us money for the sight test. So what I'm going to do is click onto the dispensing module, and in here we'll see all of that patient's previous dispenses, which is blank at the moment. So if I press green plus for new, it's going to create a new dispense. And what it will do is if any notes have been put on by the optometrist, those are going to come up on here. So we can see that the optom said that I drive a lot. So they're going to talk about products relevant for me. Also, that I really like some Ray-Bans I saw in the window. So this is a really good selling tool. What I always say, as you probably know, is cynically, a patient's more likely to go with what a clinician advises. And so it's really good to be able to share this on screen with the patient. The optometrist's recommendations are also a nice quantifiable way to see how you're doing as a practice. So if you've had a real run on aspherics, it might be because Bob has been talking about them. So those have flashed up straight away for me, but I can always get back to them by clicking on dispense notes up towards the top middle of the page. So it's created a dispense with today's date and time. Single vision distance is what it's on. It's not looking at my RX to do that. It's just the default we have in the system, and we can see the RX here. If I choose near, it's going to update with the relevant RX parameters, and indeed a bifocal or progressive are going to show all of the different bits of information there that are required. It's pulling it through from the most recent test record. If I press choose RX, I'd be able to choose a different site test if I wanted to. Or alternatively, if I want to add my own, if I push outside RX, I can then go through and enter all my own detail here. So if they've just turned up and you've facilitated their glasses, or perhaps it's from a previous GOS form or from elsewhere, you can put it in there. So three broad things I told you that you need. One was the RX, we've had a look at that. The next one is going to be the frame. So if I press add items, it's going to bring up our frame stock list. You do have the ability to add a new frame on at this point if you need to. Update, so if it's the same model but a different size and or colour, you can quickly add it on there as well. But I'm just going to use this one I've got in as an example. I could put in the barcode or description, search by supplier, but this is the one which I'm going to use. And when I do choose that, it's filled out all of the information here for me. Okay, so if the patient is providing their own frame, by the way, we could tick patient's own frame and we'd be able to put the details in there. Right, so I'm now going to add on my lenses. If I click that, it's going to bring up all the lenses I've got downloaded in my lens book. As I mentioned, do check out my separate video about how to do that. But if I press lenses, it's going to bring up our lens book. As an example, I've got the S-Law catalogue on here, so I can go through and find a lens that I want. Good thing about using manufacturer's data is they generally will have all of the range data included in there, all the different tints and coats available, and also cost prices, which you can generate your retail price from using formulae. These are not catalogues which we hold or curate ourselves. They all come from an intermediary called Hawkstone, who essentially sit between lens suppliers and companies like us. But the S-Law one that I'm using is actually very good. It's the one I was using for training myself. But what I've done is I've made my own lens book just called Flex, and I've just got three quick examples so we can see how these work. You'll be able to find the lens you want based on all of these different parameters, so the index, stock or surface, single vision, bifocal, etc. If you're a real geek and know the lens codes, you can put those in there, but I've just created my own lenses here. And what I can do, when I double click on the lens in question, it's going to bring it up on the screen here. So it's brought through the cost. We always do price per lens, not per pair. So that's brought up £80 for these. This little green light just shows that my lens is in range. Green light if it's fine, red light if the lens is out of range. If that's the case, it will tell you the issue. For example, only available in a prism up to +2. or if it's an amber light on it, it's just because it doesn't actually have any data against it. So, by the way, if you think, well, you know what, it's only 0.25 out, I can get away with that, you can turn the range check off and it'll let you do as you see fit. What you might see also is the coatings here. So if I choose an MAR coating, that's going to bring my lenses up to £100. But some lenses from manufacturers, you have to put a coat on. So do bear that in mind too. So double click on the lens that we want. You can also pull it through from the last dispense if we wanted to. I'm just going to right click on a lens in question. So if you're thinking, well, how would I get a balanced lens, for example, different for right and left, right click on the lens in question and choose right lens and left lens. And you'll also see an option called Add to Shortlist. This is an excellent feature in Flex. If I choose right-click, Add to Shortlist, I'm just going to do this with both lenses for the 3 different ones I've got on the screen. You can do it for up to 3. Our mind works in threes, as it were. So if I press View Shortlist now, we can actually see the good, better, best prices of the different options available. So really useful for upselling or just for genuine comparisons there as well. And you can see what the difference would be with coats and tints. If the patient's on a loyalty plan, then also it would show their loyalty price. So the old cliche, well, the more they spend, the more they save. Check out the portal, by the way, for what it is about loyalty. Just key in that word loyalty and you'll get all the details that you need. So I'm going to choose the 174s, treat myself. So I can choose those on the system, push select, and it's brought those lenses through for me. The PD will have to be entered here. We can see it's just appearing in red. If I enter a binocular PD, for example 66, it will split it. A monocular one will not. Of course, I could go to the other eye now, put in 32.5. For a bifocal progressive, it's going to give us a nudge about the height and the direction. You can set the default direction in the setup. But I'll leave that as there for now. Those numbers were in red. You probably think, well, that's not massively prominent, but actually, before we save this, it would warn us of any issues. So, RX is there, frames on, lenses are on. Under here as well, briefly, add extras. This might be to add, perhaps if there is a sundry or solution at the dispensing desk, so I picked up a box of lens wipes, we could add that on. But more commonly, at point of dispense, it's used for things like adding on a reglaze or a prism fee, things like that. So, discounts can be done through here, just the same as doing discounts through the till. It would show all the items on the receipt, and we can choose which ones we want to discount. Little tip, hold down Control and you can select multiple lines. The sandy colour are the ones which are currently going to be discounted. Also, you can add on vouchers through here. So press Add Vouchers, then it will bring up all the NHS vouchers and the latest values, and we can knock one of those off the dispense. Take a deposit if they just want to pay here, so you just want to get some money off them today, you can do that and that will go straight through to the till. Okay, so we're ready now to confirm our dispense. Before I do that, just to mention a right-click menu. I've just right-clicked on the date and time of the dispense here. It's a little bit of a hidden, but a really useful feature. New pair. If I was having a second pair, I could just choose new, and it'll make a new one. Copy's good, because that gives us the option to bring through the frame and or lenses that we want to use for the second pair. Perhaps it's a distance and a near. We're having the same frame and or lenses. That's quite useful to use. The other options we'll mention in a couple of minutes around remakes and reglazes. But when I click confirm now, it's going to give me any information. Info, you can't write this yourself. It's just any warnings. So for example, the lens is out of range. You forgot to choose a frame. No PD, no height. This lens has to be coated. Lots of things in there it would warn you about. You can put in the destination. So where's this actually going to be going off to? Tray number. Some practices use tray numbers. Some put a surname. Some put nothing at all. And when the work is required by. If I now press confirm, it's going to ask me a couple of questions, although it can automatically do this for you. Do you want to send to the till? I'm going to say yes, and would like to create an order, and I'll say yes. You may remember my exam fee was already on the till, so it's actually going to ask me, do I want to add on to this receipt, or do I want to put it on a new one? I'll click select to put it on this one. The order has now gone through to have created an order, and again you can check out more about that on the portal for how to update the work in progress and print it out now if you need to, if it hasn't printed out automatically. And it's gone through to the till, back to a little bit of familiarity with all the work on the cash register. Lots more about this on the portal. Make sure you check it out, optinetuk.com/support.